Hey guys, it's been exactly a week since I've done any yard work. Part of that is due to rain, but not completely. Part of that is due to chaos that ensued. So last Saturday I did lots of yard work, pulled the weeds, and then we decided on Sunday to rearrange the office a little bit. Now that I'm home every day of the week, it doesn't make sense for my husband and I to share our office. Well, you know how it is, you move one piece of furniture and then you decide another piece of furniture needs to be moved, and the next thing you know, our whole house was in complete disarray. And Monday, I felt like I'd been hit by a truck because I did yard work and moved furniture. The joys of getting older. And then just Tuesday was a really nice day, but COVID-19 quarantine stuff had just hit me. I was still a little bit sore and I just ate a lot of food and didn't do anything. So I really missed out, and I hate that. I also hate that if you gain a few pounds, it happens like that, and want to get them off, it takes forever. So trying to get back on track. I've moved our plants outside. They're sitting up here on this counter for the first time, getting a little outdoor light rather than being by the window. I'm hoping that I might be able to put some of them in a more permanent spot outside. I've been waiting for a nice stretch of sunlight and no storms. Doesn't look like that's gonna happen. I also need to deal with the whole ant situation, and the thing I bought for it, you can't put it on right before it rains or it'll kind of dilute the effect. Anyway, we'll deal with the ants later, but today we're gonna try to get the tiller out and see how that works. Maybe a mistake since it just rained yesterday, but we'll see what happens. Okay, plan B. The ground is super squishy. I just walked over to see where I was gonna till, and I'm not gonna do that today. It was supposed to be partly cloudy today with no chance of rain, and I'm looking up, and does that look like no rain to you? I don't know, I've already felt a couple of droplets, so this is a bummer. I'm gonna have to figure out something else to do because I have to get things kind of started. I can't just sit, and it really has been raining a lot this week. Anyway, we'll see what we can figure out. We're gonna see what there is to do in the garage. I might try to build one of the planters out of some scraps I have laying around. We'll see. I'm not sure if I have the right saw blades to cut it to the dimensions I want it. I know I have blades that will cut metal but not wood. And you know, this is the kind of thing that, like, everybody talks about the conditions that plants need to grow properly. What about the conditions a gardener needs to garden, okay? So number one, my muscles can't be fatigued. Number two, it has to be, you know, not squishy and wet outside. Number three, I have to be in the mood to garden. I know. Am I a true gardener? I really don't know. Anyway, let's open this garage door. And we'll see what we can do. So let's stop and take a minute to admire the garden space that we weeded the other day. It looks really good. It's rained since then, so it's washed some of the junk off, and you know, having cleaned it up, it's looking so much better. Now, there's more we can do to this space. We definitely need to add more rock to cover the plastic and work on that growing mounting grass back there. But sometimes you just gotta stop and look at your accomplishments when the other stuff starts to overwhelm you. So we'll figure out what to do. We'll get back on track. We'll get out of the slump. Once we actually get going, we'll be fine, right? Yeah. So what I'm gonna try to use are these wooden treated fence planks that I have, or panels, whatever they're called. They're dog ear cut timber, and I'm gonna try to fit them together and make a tiny raised bed. Nothing fancy, just a little plot area to put things. And I'm trying not to go to Home Depot still because of COVID-19. Now don't get me wrong, I could go, and some people are going and that's fine. Just take precautions and all of that, but I don't know, there's like a thrill to it to like try to do it without going to Home Depot. It's like a challenge. I've always loved a puzzle and a challenge in my life, so if I can make it challenging, then it's more fun to me until it becomes overwhelming and then I, decide to give up. That does happen sometimes. So let's see what we can do with these planks. All right, so I've got the wood laid out. We have 2 brown recluses trying with all their might to cling to the wood because remember, spider problems in the garage. I dumped one in the grass over there so it could run away or nature could take its course, and I'll be sweeping the other one off into the grass as well. And we might try a little spider control in the garage today as an activity, depending on how well this process starts going. So I've laid both of them down, and I said both, but really 4. So all of them, I've laid all of them down. We have a couple that are a little more straight than the others. This one and that one's kind of bowed up. So these are the ones, the bowed up ones I'm gonna cut, and then I'm gonna leave the other 2 full length. So we're gonna have a rectangle like bed. So I think I'm gonna cut both of these in half, and 2 of the pieces will go on each end, and then the other 2 pieces will go kind of underneath to stabilize it a little bit more. It would be even better if I had some corner pieces, like a more solid block of wood to tie them together, not as thin. I might have something, but I don't know on that. I did buy this nice little stand from Amazon. It came in several days ago and stayed in quarantine for a while until I took it out, so I can move it anywhere in the yard and be able to show you what I'm doing. But some days I'll continue to hold the foam myself. So, quick detour here to sweep out this corner. It was pretty bad with leaves. It still kind of has some stuff on it. We're gonna put some glue traps down here and see what all comes our way. And I can even see something right there. I don't know if it's dead or alive, but we're just gonna see how bad it is. We'll come back to the glue traps next time and look at them. I don't really know if I want to look at them, but we will. We're gonna have to put a lot of glue traps in here to get this thing taken care of. These just standard glue traps, and they work really well for spiders because there's not a lot of sprays that really kill a spider unless you hit the spider directly. So let's get that up in the corner. All right, we'll come back and check that later. Next step is to get the saw, and guess where the saw is? It is on a shelf underneath that counter behind that big box of a ton of stuff. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. Okay, the sun came back out, found my saw, found my blades, and I'm gonna get this all put together, measure, cut, and then we'll find some fasteners. So I got the cuts made, and now I just have to figure out a sturdy place to set it up, to hammer in the ends and get the fasteners in. Can't decide whether I want to use screws or nails. I think I'm going to start with nails, and then if I have to later repair it, I can use some outdoor screws. So I'm going to dig around in a big box of fasteners and see what I can find that'll work well. So here's my box. I've got some miscellaneous items here. It'd be best if I had coated nails since this is an outdoor thing, I believe. I don't want to make the nails too big or else they will split the wood, because since I don't have like corner reinforcers, there's a potential that I can get too big of a nail and it'll split it open. So got pretty big nails right here. Might be able to use these, but they're very basic. They have no exterior screws that are 2 inches. The only thing I'm nervous about is just, again, it going out the side or splitting it if I don't do it straight. I might use these. Go ahead and use these. I got this box and it's just like bags of old fasteners of some type. I don't even know what's in here. Yeah, those are just like bulk. Looks like common nails. Yeah, that's not what I want. I think I've settled on the screws, so now I have to get my drill out, which is in the same box as the saw was in. So I got my planter box built and it's sitting over there. I've got to decide just exactly where I want to position it, how I want to position it. I also have a bunch of cardboard that I've been hanging on to, one, because they're not doing recycling right now, but two, you can use cardboard as a weed block in certain places. So I'm thinking about using some of this bigger cardboard to prepare a spot for some cloth pots that were purchased from me. They're like bags you can fill with dirt, and they stand up just like a pot would, but more biodegradable than a plastic pot. So I'm gonna get to work on that and probably close out the day with this. I'm kind of bummed that it's rained so much because it's gonna take a while for the soil to dry up enough to till and plant. So I'm probably gonna have to take my seedlings back inside and put them on a table. I'm gonna leave them out here as long as it's not storming so that they can kind of get adjusted, get some light, and get a feel for being out. Here we go. Okay, so I've got 2 rows for my container items, and then I have this raised bed. I've even been reading about using straw bales, which is something that was posted. I'm gonna try a variety of gardening methods back here, and it's becoming really evident that this is a work in progress over a long period of time, and I have a vision for what it will end up looking like, but each season it'll grow and grow. So I'd like to be able to fill in this bed. I'm going back and forth on whether or not to go ahead and plant things. My thought was that I would till up along the fence line and put the sunflowers in because they're getting pretty tall. I want them to get firm in the ground. However, it's really not good to till right now. The soil is too wet, and it may be too wet for several days. But I could get some things in the ground, quote, in the ground, by putting them in this raised bed. I was thinking about throwing some leaves in there. I may go over to the hill over here and see how that dirt's doing. It might be draining a little bit better because it's a giant hill, not everything's running off of it necessarily, than just kind of sitting and soaking as much. Anyway, or I may just have to call it a day, and hey, at least I got my above ground planter ready, raised bed, whatever we're gonna call it. So let's see what's next, or I may just call it a day. Everything's still really too wet, so I found a pile of leaves that I've been wanting to get rid of anyway. I went ahead and threw those in here for now, let it get rained on and mix in with whatever is going to end up in that bed. I did plant some of the sunflowers over here. Who knows what will happen. I kept some in case these don't make it, but I just wanted to get them in the ground. They do have some good soil around them from what they were in, but of course they've got really muddy clay soil as another option, and then will they survive the dog? So that's another piece I'll have to think about. The last time I did a garden was years ago when I lived in a different town, and I had just gotten Speckles. She was like 2 years old, and I actually started having some cantaloupes come out, and she thought they were a ball, and so as soon as they would get big enough to be the size of a small green ball, she'd rip them off the stems and play with them. And so I may have to get a fence of some sort to deter her, or just have some other creative ideas, but we'll see how it goes. Still a ton of work to do out here. Again, it's a work in progress, but I got out, got in the sun, had some fresh air, got a workout for my body. So one final thought before I go, I was digging around planting the sunflowers, and I found a mint plant. So used to be a garden from the previous owners, and I pulled it up because it didn't really make sense to me being over there. It was like on the other side of the fence, and as far as the hose, the water hose, like you'd have to throw it over the fence. I mean, I could have run some irrigation, but it had some mint in it, and it spread, and every time I mow over it, it is the most... I absolutely love mint. It's wonderful to cook with and bake with, and I love mojitos in the summer. That's one of my most favorite things to drink. So here it is. But you know, here's the thing. It looks like a mint to me. It looks like exactly what I would buy in the store. It smells like a mint. But plant relatives do exist that they look alike. They might have some of the same qualities, but they're actually really toxic. So I'm gonna have to do some research and see if I really can eat this. And I don't know, I'm kind of nervous too, but it smells so good. Anyway, I stuck it in this pot, so hopefully I can get it to grow as is, and it won't die and get bigger, and we'll have lots of mint this summer. Talk to you guys next time. Hopefully I get to work a little more this week, less rain, and I'll try to stay out of the COVID-19 funk. I need to be out here instead of eating snacks, so hopefully I'll see you again soon.